Well, my plans are falling apart here. I crashed the drone, and then look at this. This stuff is moving in fast. So I'm gonna have to jump in this thing and get out of here. I don't want to get fogged in and get stuck here. All right, so I didn't film anything leading up to this because I didn't realize I was going to have an issue and I wasn't really thinking about it. But I pulled apart. I just finished an annual and I was really going through everything and making sure everything's lubed and just everything's in good shape throughout the airframe, you know. And I thought, well, now's a good time. I'll change the rear tire. There was nothing wrong with the one I had, but I wanted something that was a little bit bigger if possible. So I'm experimenting with this. It doesn't have tread, obviously. It's slightly wider and slightly taller, but it fits in the fork that I have and fits pretty well. I don't really want a taller tire from the point of, I don't want to decrease my angle of attack. If anything, I'd rather have more, but it's not much taller, and I can vary the spring loading I have on my T3. My T3, I put a little bit softer spring on it. The one that comes on, it's too stiff in my opinion. It doesn't let it move hardly. So I run a little bit softer spring with some preload on it, so I can take a little bit of that out if I wanted to compensate for the height, but it's probably not even worth worrying about. That tail wheel I have will plow in the sand, and I'm trying to stop that. But, you know, I didn't have the money and want to get into like a baby bush wheel and all that. But anyway, when I went to take it apart, and I don't actually have the bad bearing, the really bad bearing here. I don't know what I did with it, but I pulled everything apart. I figured it's a good time to inspect the tail wheel, check the bushings, grease everything. You know, I grease it pretty often, but just have a look at the whole thing, pull it all apart. Anyway, I did all that, was fine, cleaned it, re-greased, put it back together. But the bearing, one of the bearings in the wheel back here was completely shot. I mean, just crunching and grinding. This one isn't great. It's got some crunchy spots in it too, and it's starting to go. But the other side was just destroyed. So I got some bearings, and I'm putting them in, and it's a pretty simple deal. You know, you knock them out from the back side and then drive them back in from the front. No big deal. Just make sure you have a socket that fits on the outside, of course. Pretty standard stuff. And we'll get that all freshened up with new bearings and a new tire. We'll see how that works. Pretty simple stuff. And now I put the tire together. That's in there like swimwear. All right, so there's the comparison between the two. So, you know, it is noticeably taller and wider. Do it this way, it'd be easier to see. Okay, another new spot. This is pretty cool up on this plateau. Now this landing, there was enough wind to dictate landing downhill, unfortunately, and it always makes it kind of exciting. And it's rough. There's rocks hidden everywhere. I want to check a couple surrounding areas, so I might do that on foot while I'm here. But man, we got some good clouds building up. There just might be a heck of a sunset tonight, so I may end up sticking around one of these spots and you know, risking it for the biscuit, so to speak. Well, it sure is fun coming out here and exploring and seeing new things. And when I go out on these flights for content, okay, you know, not every flight I make I just put cameras on or go out to try to take pictures, of course. A lot of times I'm just farting around, but when you go out on these content runs, you know, you're hoping to find something really great. And I kind of, to me, it's kind of like fishing or watching the guys that go out, you know, crabbing or something, where you throw your line in or you throw your cages in, but you don't really know what you're going to get till you pull them up. So I'll go out and I'll film, and I'll take pictures, shoot a bunch of stuff, and you know, until I load it up on the computer later, you know, I don't really know what I got. So it's always fun when you go out and capture a bunch of stuff and then kind of get excited on the way home, you know, because you want to see what you got and go through it. And I really enjoy doing that. This spot I'm at, you know, I might look for a place down below here. I can move the airplane down here. There's a cool rock formation over here somewhere. I hope I can find a way to move that thing down here, because man, it's nice down here, and that would be an unreal backdrop there. Too bad I already did that homestead video, because here I am, and what do we see? Leftovers of another homestead over here. And what an awesome place this would have been. Man, I don't blame them for building here. This is absolutely beautiful. There's one of those little caves right here by the homestead, and it's actually a little deeper than I would have thought. Makes you wonder what lives back in here. I mean, look at this. This goes way in here. Wow, that's far out. That is really cool. Man, I love finding stuff like this. That's so awesome. So the problem I got with this spot today here is that if I land uphill, come down and touch down about where I'm standing and roll right up through here, that's it's fairly smooth, but you know, it's a little rough, and I've got a pretty good tailwind today. So it's uphill but a tailwind, so it's not horrible, but we're at almost 10,000, or maybe we are at 10,000, right there somewhere. And you know, ground speeds get pretty high with a tailwind, and it's like, man, I hate to do that. There's no way to come in over these trees and touch down. It's too steep to get it slowed down, unfortunately, even with the wind. And then of course you'd roll for a long ways just because it is steep enough. It'd be hard to stop, and if you get out in the snow, then it just, you know, you go on and on and on. So there's no good option to land here right now. I'm kind of scouting out to look and see if there's somewhere I can come in from the side with a crosswind and come across, because at least then I wouldn't be getting those ground speeds up so high. Because, you know, this is kind of obvious. I don't really have to point it out, but this is a non-go-around situation. So once you come in, you're committed. And again, if I didn't have a tailwind, I wouldn't even think twice about it. But that just makes things a little bit exciting. I'm a long ways from home. It's the wrong time of year to get stranded. Really, I'm scouting this stuff out for, you know, like a potential place to camp or something like that. So I don't really want to camp here tonight. Hey, that ended up being no big deal. So I was checking ground speeds and it was just awful. I was seeing 30 to 33 over indicated heading this direction. So, but I lined up coming across sideways and saw ground speed pretty similar to indicated. And I'm like, man, that you can't beat that at 9,500 or whatever. So put it down, no big deal. Unfortunately, those mountains now are getting clouded in. There's a little bit of a storm coming in. Well, you know, you can't have everything go perfectly. And well, this is obviously my mistake. This has been a good drone and it shoots pretty nice footage. The 4K gimbal camera works really well until you pile in a tree at 50 miles an hour. The thing I'll say about this drone, it doesn't have any sensors on like the back or sides or bottom. It seems like it only detects in the front. And a lot of times I'm backing it up in a hurry for a shot and I was winging it and I hit up in that big old tree. And man, it did some damage. It destroyed the gimbal, knocked the battery out of it. That's on me. Got a little carried away. Okay, well, my plans are falling apart here. I crashed the drone and then, look at this. This stuff is moving in fast. So I'm gonna have to jump in this thing and get out of here. I don't want to get fogged in and get stuck here, obviously. I only had about an hour and 15 minutes before I needed to leave anyway. So unfortunately, I can't stick around and see if there's any good light with this sunset because yeah, I might get stuck here. All right, yep, gotta go. Okay, so I struck out on the one spot it started snowing and I broke the drone and a lot of things didn't end up going right, but I found a spot on a plateau. Sorry, it's kind of windy, but look at those clouds. These clouds are unbelievable. Absolutely ridiculous clouds and some good color. So you know what? It's a nice way to finish off the day, and I will take it.